All right, in the last demo, I showed you how, let's see here, how I could take my black and white logo, bring it into Photoshop, and make it a PNG so it has no background. You see the gray that's behind it? That means it has no background at all. And so here it has white behind it because the preview page is white, but here it has gray behind it. And then I showed you how in Photoshop you can build with layer styles, color fills and effects and drop shadows and gradients and textures and all kinds of things. And then I saved that as a PNG just to put up to PhotoBucket, which again will have no background. And you can see the subtlety of that and how clean it outputs from your vector file. And you can see the texture there, and it looks embossed, and it's very, very pretty. All right, the one thing I haven't shown you that I want to show you with this, and then I'll review how to bring it all into Photoshop to output it as a raster file, to put it into PhotoBucket, is how to color within Illustrator. So I open up my Illustrator file. Here it is, all these things I've worked on to clean it up. And I have my sketch in the background but turned off. And I have everything here unlocked now. Because the simplest way to color in Illustrator is to just replace your black with color. So for instance, if I wanted this to be red within Illustrator, I would just use my large selection tool and make sure all my components are turned off. Make sure there's no white that's being used, right? I've got a lot of different layers. You can tell that from all the different colors for the anchor points, which are all here. And if I wanted to change that all to a new color, I can just click on the color fill field and pick a color. And what did that do? It changed it all to a gray. But what I wanted to do was change it to a red. So when that happens, it's because you're in a black and white mode. And the reason I'm in a black and white mode is because I brought in the Rosenthal logo and I live traced it in black and white. And Illustrator does this really annoying thing when you do that, where it kind of shuts down all of its color options to save processing time. So instead, I hit Command-Z. While they're all selected, I'm going to do this. And this is a good idea anyway for logo design. I'm going to copy it. So Edit, Copy, Command-C. I'm going to say File New, a new Illustrator file. This is after I finished all my black and white alterations. Call it Carl Assignment 6, no longer black and white logo, but color logo. And I'm going to make sure it's a print file, print profile. I say OK, and then I'm going to say Edit, Paste in Place. Okay, now I have just one layer. You see it's all blue, but it's got all of the different paths in it. So what that did is compress all of my other layers. It's like merging visible all into one layer, where I still have control of all the paths. Now, because it's in a print file and not limited to black and white, I should, oh, why are you not letting me? I should be able to color it. Oh, the frustrations of Illustrator. There we go. I don't know why it's not letting me from there. So if I can go from the drop print options here, I can pick colors and then I can modify them from here. And I don't need to only use web colors anymore. You know, I can make my own variations. So what is the difference? Well, here we have an actual red vector file. So if I was going to do like a laser print and I wanted it red, I could output it right out of Illustrator this way in color, instead of having to do a color overlay or a color fill of a black and white vector design in Photoshop. Now, what other options do I have? This is where it gets a little complicated. If I select all those paths, notice that some of them are overlapping and haven't been merged yet. So this is what I want to point out. If I go to my gradient options, and you can find under all of these under window, but gradient is nested with transparency. I can say I want a gradient fill like that over the top of it, and I can actually pick the colors. So instead of it being black, I can make it something else. This is a lot like layer styles within Photoshop. make it 45 degrees. I can add colors to it. Put brown in there. And there I am. And it looks pretty cool, but notice there's some oddness to it, right? Where I have these different kind of fills, that gradient's going to really, because it's no longer just solid black or solid red or solid anything, it's really going to show it off. So what do I need to do to fix all that? Well, this is where Pathfinder comes in. I select everything again, and I go up to Window Pathfinder. And then what I'm going to do this time is, instead of excluding anything, I'm going to merge them all together. Now what that does, and this is good practice if you're ever designing a black and white logo, you want your EPS, you want your vector file to be merged. So now it's all one clean vector shape. All the overlaps that were happening that cleaned it up are now all like one clean cutout of paper. And that allows me to play with coloring in an interesting way. So now I can take those gradient options and I can do it maybe, let's see, 0, no, let's do 90, top to bottom. And I can work it like this. And that all makes sense, right? Basically, wherever the black ink is connected, is contiguous, it will all fill. But then notice, if I do the gradient options the same everywhere, any piece that's floating on its own, like this one, it will gradate separately. So this is why I tend to like to do these overall fill options in Photoshop with layer styles, because it will treat it all flat, not as individual paths. Now, what's the most common way you need to color within Illustrator? It actually isn't to do this kind of thing. So let's just make this all one solid color. Let's go with purple. Ooh, nice and royal. Okay. So what I could do is now actually color behind some of these features. And that's the thing you can't do easily in Photoshop and not as cleanly as a vector. So what if I wanted this beak to be yellow? Yellow is a nice complement to the purple. So now I treat it like stained glass. And this is my line work on top, so I lock that. And I make a new layer and I put it underneath my line work. And now I can draw shapes. I'm just going to use the pencil tool with fairly smooth setting. Not all the way smooth because I need it to follow along with me. In fact, maybe even right to the middle. And I'm going to draw the glass. I'm basically going to cut the glass that goes behind the beak. And this is what I think of as spot color. Little areas you want to have filled that weren't needed in your black and white version, but are needed. Let's do an orange. No, it's two. Something like that. But are needed in your color version. So basically all that is 2 layers of paper, right? A cutout like this, and then the line work cutout on top. So what else might I do with yellow? Maybe this cross. It doesn't matter if I get the shape exactly right, I just need to make sure it overlaps cleanly. And I would fill it in. Now what's nice is once you do a fill, it will save that color option for you right down here. So then I can just match it. Or if I end up doing a lot of fills, so let's say I decide to make these something. Let's do it a little loosey-goosey here. And I actually mix the color I want. So I do that, but then I say, no, I want a lot more black in it, and I want a lot more red in it. Or I want it from this scale. I want it to be more orange, brown, maybe blue, whatever it is. It has all the advantages of being a vector. So I can redraw that to extend it. And I can simply do another shape to match, and I like the pencil tool, but you can do this with any path making tool. And then instead of having to click this, which is the last fill I used, I can use the dropper tool. So when you have lots of fill colors going on, that can be really helpful to match it with the exact color. The dropper tool will also match any gradation effects, any opacity effects, anything else you have going on, any stroke effects or stroke options. Okay, so let's just pick one more color. And let's fill the butterfly. This can get a little tricky, and remember I can refine these shapes after. Remember that our line work in Illustrator is all empty. It's just black shapes. So these are now colored pieces of paper that I'm floating the black shapes on top of. And in this case, instead of cutting them out of black paper, I cut them out of purple paper. This is a little sloppy, but let's pick a color, fill it in, let's brighten that up. There we go. All right, now with my pencil tool, if there's anything I missed like this, I can zoom in, recut it, the magic scissors, all there, and refine it. So this is if you need spot color within your color logo, not just an overall color treatment. If you're making a logo type, you usually need a spot color treatment for the color version of a logo type. Certain letters or certain colors. All right. So, let's say that's what we like, and that's our finished logo. I don't know why this one, oh, I know why I changed color, so let me use the dropper tool and get it back to this color. Whoops, that one, there we go. Okay, so now I'm going to save this, and I'm going to save it first just as an AI file because this is my color logo. And just to show you I can do other things, I can use my shape tool and maybe make an ellipse behind it all. Hold down Shift. Kind of line this up. And maybe I want to fill that with a gradation. Ooh, very pretty. And then I want to run that behind everything. So what I would do is make a new layer, move it down, and then just take just that ellipse, drag it into the new layer. And now it will be behind everything else. And the last thing I'll kind of show you that's kind of fun is if I want to do what's called an offset, and we'll learn more about this later. I can select all my purples. I can hit Command C to copy them, make a new layer, paste in place, and then fill it all with white. Okay, and then run that behind my purple layer, and then just play with its stroke a little bit. So I can give it a stroke, a white stroke, and I can play with an offset that's separate from my actual shape, right? So an offset is when you hold out color and you have kind of white space behind it, and then you print your black inks or your colored inks on top. Okay, so let's say I like that. That's finished. So I save it. Now I'm going to save it as an EPS file so I can bring it into Photoshop. So just save as,